So okay guys, so in our previous class, like we just went through about the event handling, and we had some like error over here, like we were not able to find out this, right, this code which have been commented over here. So we were not able to get proper output over here. So what was the mistake that we have done over here? We will see that later. Before that, let us also understand what is the main thing that we need to know. That is nothing but, I'll just go over here and I'll just take a topic of synthetic that is events. Okay, so what is this actually? Why we want to just know what all the things that we will be just going through, and what all the types of events will be there. There is something called as prevent default. Okay, so this prevent default is nothing but it remains default whenever you call this method. Okay, so whenever the output is there, so these all things you guys just note down. So I'll be explaining these things whenever I'm just telling, I'll just whenever I'm calling the use effect hooks and all. Okay, I'll be using those things. So you need to note down some of the methods, that is, so you just remind me at that time. So whenever I'm using the different hooks. Okay, so that is, you need to remember me. So this prevent default hook, sorry, control C, control V, prevent default, and this one. So usually we'll be using prevent default. Let us also get one of the example for all these methods. Okay, so this comes under what? So any one of you can also read out this statement. Nisha, you can just go through this para.
Your event handlers will be passed instances of synthetic event, a cross-browser wrapper around the browser's native event. It has the same interface as the browser's native event, including stop propagation function and prevent default function, except the event works identically across all browsers.
Okay, you can also read this.
If you find that you need the underlying browser event for some reason, simply use the native event attribute to get it. The synthetic events are different from and do not map directly to the browser's native events. For example, in onMouseLeave event, native event will point to a mouseout event. The specific mapping is not part of the public API and may change at any time. Every synthetic event object has the following attributes.
Okay, so these are some of the following attributes that you need to know. Okay, so whenever we are using the prevent default and other different things, it has its own, what they are telling, it has its own what they told.
So you mean to say if you give prevent default function, it applies to every other page or every time you...
No, whenever we want over there, whenever we are just running one of the function, right? So the default, whatever I'll just tell you whenever that topic comes. See, whenever we are using use effect, that is, use effect is nothing but defaultly that in that page everything will be run. Okay, so whenever you open one of the page, all these things will be appeared over there. So while there you will be using prevent default. So you will just learn over there only. If I just tell you now, it will be just complicated for you guys. Okay, so I'll just tell you as each and every thing. So if this is also, there are more different things which is more advanced also. So if I just tell all the things, you will be get confused. Which is required for you at present, that one I'll tell you. Okay. So and some other things that comes under supported events. So you can also just go through this, Nisha.
React normalizes events so that they have consistent properties across different browsers. The event handlers below are triggered by an event in the bubbling phase. To register an event handler for the capture phase, append capture to the event name. For example, instead of using onClick, you would use onClick capture to handle the click event in the capture phase.
Okay, what did you understand?
Like instead of using onClick, you can use onClick capture because the event can be captured automatically.
Okay. So there are some other events over there, okay? So these are some of the events. So these are most advanced, I can tell. You can just go through this site also. Okay, this is the additional part for you guys. You can just go to this site and you can also just overview this one. Okay, so I'll be sending this URL for you guys in the comment box. Where is that? You guys can just go through this. The normal thing that which you will be learning is nothing but on click and those things. So if you want to make more advanced and more what you can also use these things instead of those. Okay, see these are comes that under the mouse elements. Okay, you can also just go over there instead of just only using on mouse over. So these are that comes, see only you will be using on mouse over, that which you know, right? As I told in the previous class that on mouse over and on mouse out. So whenever you just click, go over on this, that function will work. So whenever you go over there and when you come back out, so at that time that one should work. Means you will be using on mouse out. So again on mouse move. So whenever you move the mouse over there like that, and on mouse enter, those things, and on mouse leave, all these things we will be using when we are creating one of the project. So you guys can also just go through this. I'll just make a note of that. That is, yeah, you guys can also just go all this page. So anyway, I'll be sharing this note also, and I'll be sharing this URL also. So where is that URL? I'll paste it inside over here. React events. Okay, so you can just go through this. If you have any of the doubts, you can just ask me. Okay, so what is this number? This is 40 and this is 41 and 42. You can also just go through this. If you have any of the doubts, you can just ask me. So these are actually out of syllabus. Okay, so I'll be teaching this whenever like we required in the project. You can also just go through these things. These are pointer events. Okay, you can just go through this completely. So if you have any doubts based on this, you can just ask me. So now you guys got a proper idea like why we will be using. Okay, so imagine that I'll also explain you once again. Imagine that you have one button, that is, I'll take this. So this is my button. Okay, so this is my button, and whenever I click on this, so what is the main thing that they are telling us? Whenever I click on that, that is, click on that, or whenever I click on that it should work, or whenever I mouse over on that, on whenever I mouse leave that button, I'll just write leave over and so on. Okay, so whenever I click on this it should work, or whenever I move my like whenever I just hover on that and whenever I leave the button, at that time it should work, or whenever I just move this and after a second if that should work, or if I just out my if I have not live, if I just out over like this, it should work. All these things, so whatever the I can tell whatever the action that need to perform. So okay, these are for the buttons. But what if I have one of my input tag, and if I want to, if I'm just taking one of my that is value, and that should get automatically changed. Okay, that input value should be changed, and I need to get that value. At that time what I'll be doing, I'll be taking something as, that is, on change event, on change. So because whenever I just change, so whenever I am changing that, so whenever I am changing that, that one that should be get changed, right? So these data should be get changed, and at that time only I will be able to change my data. So for an example I will also show you that how it, what I am mean to tell. See, whenever I am just typing that and if I click on this, I am getting the data. How? Because whenever I am changing this data, so I have also taken that, I have corrected my code, that is, see, whenever I am just I am calling this function, that is nothing but this function, that is on change, right? So this is the function. Just note, just have a look on this. Okay, so I'll just copy this and I'll paste it over here in my page, that is over here. So I have written this function for this on change. Okay, so I have written this function over here. Let me make one box. Okay, have written this over here. So why have written, and whenever I click over on one button, that is whenever I click on one of my button, that should work. Means for this I have again written another what I can tell, another function, that is I'll take another box over here and I'll also copy that function. Have taken this function and I have written over here. So this is nothing but this is on click. On click. So whenever I click on this button, this will work. So how does work? So whenever I click on this button, it will work. This is for this input tag. So this is nothing but an input tag. I'll also write that input tag. Okay, you forget about this one now. So I'll just remove that. Okay, so this is how it is working. Okay, and this one is also done. So this is how it is just getting work. How na? So whenever I just click on this, so I'll also show you the code parallelly. So whenever I am just clicking on that is, yeah. So whenever I am clicking on this button, how it works, first it will go over here, and sorry, first whenever you type something, I mean, so whenever you just type something, that is some data over here. So whenever you type some data over here, yeah, whenever you type some data over here, so for example, I'll take, like, I'm writing something over here, this will for to take the data and to store. So what is the data I have taken over here? I'm just taking the value by using e dot target dot element e dot target dot value. So it is just targeting over here. So since I am using this over here, it will just target the value over here. So inside the value, what I have given something called as input value. So this input value have just used over here, right? So why have used over here? Hmm? Because I am setting the value from here. So whenever I am writing the data, so whatever the data we write now, so whatever the data we write, that will be set over here, and that is I am just taking the data from here, I am just putting the data over here, and then this will be setting the data and I'll be getting this data over here. So whatever I write, that data will be over here. So for an example, I'll just show you the console.log. Console.log, and I'll just write my output. Okay, so I'll also show you my output over here, that is console.log. I'll just clear this and I just type hi. So am I getting this? See, each and every time I write, it is getting changed. Okay. So but whenever I click over here, only that will be print. Okay. So how that will happen, I'll tell you. See, am I getting my data over here? I am getting the data. How this one is done? Nah? So I have taken another use state, that is I have taken one of my use state and I am setting the data over here. So use state is nothing but we have two arguments. I'll also just write the syntax of that. Syntax, that is Actually, how that syntax comes na, current, this is nothing but this is the current value and this is the set value. I can just tell you that is variable, and that one is nothing but I'll take one, this is one of the array, and inside that first I'll be taking current value and comma set value is equals to use state. So this is how it will be there. Okay, so this is the syntax of the what I can tell use state. So we are setting the current value using the use state. Okay, this is a use state hook. So this comes under the hooks part, that is hooks under the React. Okay, this is the first hook that you have already learned. Okay, that is use state. Remember, this is one of the important thing that which you will be learning. Okay, so how does this use state work? Vidya or Nisha? So use state, this one is there na, we have something called as two values. Use state has two values in it inside one of the array, that is nothing but current value and the set value. We will be setting the current value by using set value. So how do we how do we set the value? We will be using one of the function, that is nothing but as we have been used over here. See, we have used one current value called as name, and we are setting the value of that name. So how am I setting that value of name? Notice this, like just have a note over here. So I am just setting the value by taking the input value. So again, that is this input value, how I am taking. So this input value I am again setting using that I am by taking the value from the input tag. So how I am taking over there, since I have just used this on change over here, and I will be able to get over there. So that is how I am able to get it over here in the console.log. So whenever I just type over here, right, that is hi, so this data is sent from here. So this data is sent from here. Okay, that is over here to here. So how am I getting, how am I accessing the data? Data by this line. Okay, e dot target dot this one. So what is e over here? E is one of the argument that have taken to get the data, and I am targeting, particularly I am going and I am targeting the value. Okay, I am just going and targeting the value. So for that I have used the target. And what is the data I want? I am just taking the value. So this is why we have been used this one. Okay, so any doubts how this one is working? Any doubts? Nisha?
No, sir.
Okay, Vidya? Vidya?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
What about Pavan?
No, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
Yeah.
use state comes in a book, sir.
Yeah. It comes under the React hooks.
Then what about React hooks?
Yeah, I'll also be telling that. Since I am using over here, I'm already telling you. I'll also be just repeating over there. Okay, so since you are using over here, you need to know why we are using, right, and what it is. So that I have explained used state. Okay, there are many hooks. I'll also be letting you know that one. like use effect, use ref, and use context, so on. Okay, so this is one of the React hook. Okay, so and this one we are getting the data over here, right? So whenever I just get the data over here and I need to print, so for printing the data what we need to do, I have again taken another use state. Okay, I have taken another use state. So here I am just taking the input data, that is from here I am just taking the input. So what about here? I need to print that data, but that is nothing but I need to display that value. So for that what I will be doing, I will take another event handle called as click, that is click. Whenever I click on that, that is whenever I click on this button, so I will just show you. So whenever I click on this button, this action, this data should be over here, right? So for that again I have taken one of my function that is called as nothing but handle click. Okay, so you can also take any name, okay, that is not an issue. So have used something called as handle click. Okay, so you can also just make it as click also, and you can also make it as click. So why I have used over here as handle click, not as on click, and here as on click? Because so whenever you write like this, you might just get a confusion. So for that you are handling some of the event. So for that, to standardize that, I have used handle click. Okay, you can also write it as on click also, but you need to just know what you are writing. The same thing only you need to pass it over here. Okay, and in the previous thing, that is we used to pass it as a function while calling, right? But over here we will not be doing that. We can just pass the name inside over here. So this is how you do. Okay, in JavaScript we used to pass a function, right, as a function, but over here we will not be able to do like that. We will be just calling only with the name. Okay, so this is the main difference that you can just notice, and this also makes you easier. Okay, so this one how you will be doing? Can anyone explain how this one is done? Nisha, can you explain?
So we are creating a function called handle click,
Okay,
where the name is set from the input value that is given,
okay,
and it keeps on updating as and then when you change the input name in the input.
okay. I need only this one to be explained.
Yeah, we are using an arrow function and setting the name.
Okay,
It accepts from the input.
so what is set name?
So we are assigning it to a
Name.
how the function has to update for the current value.
Yeah, so for that we are just using this one. So we are updating the current value, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so this is nothing but, these functions are nothing but for, I can also write like this. State. Okay, correct, right? These both the functions are similar to that only, na? Correct, na? Function.
But that happens automatically, but this happens only when it is clicked, right?
Yeah, this one will do whenever we click. So whenever we click click, and this one will happen automatically. Okay, this it acts based on the thing which you have been used over here. Okay, this is on change, na? So whenever you change that, that one will be done. So let us just also see what is the code that they have written over here. So whenever you guys just go and inspect something, see they have written in a huge form for one single method. It should perform, na? So this is how they write a predefined, what I can tell, they write in the form of interfaces, and then they will be using those things. Okay, so this is how they write all the predefined things. Okay, see these are things, you know, something called as autoplay and so on in the while controlling those what I can tell, while where we use autoplay and all while controlling the videos and so on, right? So this is how all these things are done. See, these are media HTML attributes and so on. So this is how they write the predefined codes. So these all are nothing but predefined codes and attributes. Actually these are attributes. Okay, so just I am showing you how they have written the predefined codes. Okay, you can just go and inspect it and check. We have something called as over here. So this is our this is what which we have used at present. You can also inspect what all the things that which we have, what all the codes that they have written for on change and so on thing. So if you really want to just go and check. Okay, and how that code works and so on, you can just inspect and you can just check it. So any other doubts based on event handling and why we are using the event handling? I hope so you don't have any doubts.
No doubt.
Yeah. So I think so your doubt is cleared. Who is that? Nisha?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But you can also just go through this, okay, this site, and you can just check it. This is like whatever the update goes on also in this React page, it will be done. Okay, you can just also go through this. And this is how it is working now. So whenever I write some data, that is whenever I write some data, and if I just click only, that will be print. Okay, so whatever the thing that you write only once and you just click, it will be changed. Any other doubts?
No, sir.
Okay, so can we move to the next topic? Okay, this part is totally done. So today, in today's topic, like we'll be just we'll be just go through what is this. So since you already know what is like if statement, that is conditional statements and so on, there is something called as what is conditional rendering. Okay, something called as rendering. So you know the meaning of condition already. So what is the meaning of rendering? Anyone?
Converting.
Huh?
Converting or mounting.
Okay. Okay, I'll give you some 5 minutes. You can just go through this topic, what it is and why we are just using this both the topics, that is conditional rendering and list and keys. Or just first go through this topic. I'll give you 5 minutes of time. Yeah. So this conditional rendering, right? So how we use and why we use and where we will be using. So you know already like what all the like what why we use if statement and what how we write the if statement. We learned in JavaScript, and also we learned that ternary operations also and logical operators also, right? So let us just go through one of my rendering statement. So this is the one of our rendering statement that we have already written, but I'll not be touching this file. I'll create a new file for you guys and then I'll show you over there. Okay, so actually have some data that is have copied this one. Okay, this is the data that which we have at present now. So yeah, this is our data. So we will be just creating this one. I'll go over here and I'll create inside the component. I'll go and I'll just create one my called as not a file, it is demo.jsx, and I'll just paste it. Okay, and I'll just call it inside my app.jsx. I'll just comment this. So what have I rendered? Just a minute. I have rendered it actually. I need to pass this over there. So how do I? Okay, I'll write all the export statements. Okay, I've called this and I'll comment this one. Root, and what is the error? React term is not defined. Why it is? You can also write this instead of like this. I'll also show you that one. Instead of as we have written over there, both the things are corrected only. Instead of writing this line, you can just write the same line which I have written. Okay, I'll just run in this way and I'll also run in the same way that which we have done. So let us just check the output. So what it is over here. See, I'm getting something called as missed. So why am I getting this? Okay, so why am I getting this? Let us go into the file of this one. Okay, actually what I have done na, I have just created all the components in the same thing. Okay, I have created how many components over here? Anyone can guess? Hmm? By looking this code only you will be able to say how many components I have created.
3.
Yeah, so this is one of our component. I'll just write it. This is our first component, first one, and this is our second one, and this is our third one. Okay, so we have written our 3 components and we are only using this one, so this. Okay, so what we have done, we have just called our functions and we are just checking it out which one is, like what I can tell, which function is should come. So what is the main thing that have passed? Again over here I passed these things. Okay, so see what is the main thing that which we have done now, like similarly like app.js is there, right? So we used to call everything in app.js and then we used to do it. Okay, we used to call all our components in the app.js and then we used to do, but over here in the demo file what we have done now, I'll just drag and drop it outside this component. See, it is outside the component folder. Okay, it is similar to the app.jsx only. This is the main file. Okay, so these two are sub files, that is these two are nothing but these two are components and this one is the main file, that is gold. Okay, so that one have passed it over here. Are you able to see? I have only passed the goal. So I need to just check it out whether the goal is true or false. So whether I have just used, I have kicked the goal or not. Okay, so since I have written missed, that is since I have written over here false, I am getting it as, so missed. If I just write true, that is true, what will be my output? It is goal. Okay, so similarly if I just again render it, false. Where is my page? So I am getting only one output. Why? Why am I getting only one output? Why am I getting only one output? There might be a question, right? So you have passed 1, 2, 3, 4 times, but why am I getting only one output? Guys, why am I getting only one output? Or else, like, okay, I'll just, you might ask, all these things are only from one thing, so we are getting like that. So okay, I'll just uncomment this and I'll also render app.js at once only, and I'll just take this use state and see both the things are running. I am not getting any error. Will I get the output? No. Why am I not getting the output? I am rendering the two different components only, right? two different main components, but why am I not getting the output? Hmm? Why am I not getting the output, guys? Any one of you? Because rendering can be done only once. Okay, so here see, this one is already got rendered, since each and every time when we are rendering, it is calling only one method only. What is that method? See, it is calling only one method only. Finally it should come and call this one only, that is create root, which is the main method of calling the root, that is create root. Using this only you start rendering. Okay, so this can also be written like this, and you can just remove the root over here for all the things. So now it becomes same, right, for all. Now it becomes same for all the things. I'll just now it becomes same for all the things, right? It is same for all, right?
Yes, sir.
Instead they have just taken two things, and that is two variables, and then they have done. I have done the code in the single line in previous thing. So that is what I told. You can write the code in 3 lines also, but I am just giving the shortcut for you while creating. So conditional rendering is nothing but you will be using if else statement, and then you will be doing. You can also use this one, that is nothing but ternary operators. The first one I have told is using if else statement. You can also do the same thing using the ternary operator. So you know what is ternary operator and how to use the ternary operator, and also you can use the logical operators also. So I'll also show you the examples of that in our page, that is this page. You can just go over here and have a look of over here. Okay, so this example what they have done over here, again they have taken some of the items and then they have just given true false true false true false, but there is no change over here. Okay, for the same thing, suppose for this one, okay, see for this one, if you want to just get some of the data over there, you can add like this, that is you can add this condition, this if else condition. So what is the condition they have given? Anyone can read out? Nisha?
So the code.
Yeah, the code.
So if that function.
Yeah, you can read from here only. You can read from here to here.
Notice that some of the item components have their isPact prop set to true instead of false. You want to add a check mark to packed items if the isPact is true. You can write this as if else.
If
Should I
else.
read out the code also?
Yeah, so we are using the if else statement and then we are doing in this example. Okay, so what is that they have done? So see, in this code which they have written in the above code, right, this is, yeah, this code they have written like true false over here for the items. So instead of writing for all the things true and false, that all the things true, what they have done, they have used something called as, this is actually a prop. Okay, so they have used in a prop manner, that is nothing but what they have used, they have used something called as true or false, that is boolean values. So based on that we will be using the if else statement and then we will be rendering that. So let us see that how they have done over here. Okay, so if, that is what I can tell, if it is true, that is, see over here, if the package is true, then we will be able to get this one, else we will be getting only the name of that. So that is what they have done over here. Okay, are you able to see? The starting two things are true and the next one is false, so you are able to get it over here. You can also try these similar examples. Okay, so this is what they have done, and I'll just show you the different example. And if you want nothing should be written, there is another thing that they have given over here. Okay, see, if that is true, it should be null, so there is no data should be written, so only one of our item is written, that is only this one have written, these two things are not over there. This is a simple concept, that's just you need to understand how to write. Okay, and this is nothing but ternary operators, that how we usually write for that. So this one was the previous thing, and now you will be writing like this, okay, in the code itself. Okay, so let us see the example for that also. See, this is how you write. Actually, most of the times we use this one only. So this one you understood, or should I explain this, how we write? This is nothing but OR, that is if, and this is else. Okay, this part is there, this part is if statement, and this part is else statement, and this before the question mark, this is the conditional statement. So whatever the condition you need to give, that is the condition given over here. Okay, so and from where we are getting the condition? We are getting the condition by the props manner. See, from here we are getting the condition. Any doubts in this code, or should I explain it with any other example? Nisha?
No, sir.
Okay. So you can just view this page also. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Like, or should I explain it again over here only? I'll be explaining it. And say these are the similar things which they have used. These are ternary operators. And what is the next thing that is? Yeah, only ternary operator they have given the example. So what was the last thing? That is logical operators. So this one is also similar to that only, but basically we will be using this one only, that is ternary operator. Ternary operator you guys just go through, ternary operator and if else statement. Logical operators we will be just using whenever we want to write any conditions and so on, like most probably we will be using these two only. Okay, you can also go through this one also. So any doubts you can just clear me. Actually there are many doubts for me also. So can I ask my doubts?